You know that feeling when you're constantly chasing something, love, success, meaning, and the more you reach for it, the further it drifts away? You give, you strive, you burn your energy like fuel, and yet it seems like nothing sticks. Nothing comes back. It's as if life is always one step ahead of you, retreating just out of reach. But then something strange happens. You stop, you don't quit, you just let go. You drop the chase, the desperate pursuit, the need to prove, to control, to pull things into your orbit. And slowly, almost like a shift in the atmosphere, everything starts coming to you instead. The calls, the opportunities, the synchronicities, they find you. Not because you gave up, but because your energy no longer leaks outward. Because now you are the center of gravity. Carl Jung called this inner shift individuation. It's the moment your energy stops running on unconscious programs and begins to radiate from your core. Not from your wounds, not from your ego, but from yourself, the whole, integrated source of your being. This is what we call vibrational detachment. Let's make one thing clear right away. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become passive, cold, or indifferent. Detachment means you stop being energetically entangled in things that drain you, control you, or define your worth. It's when your inner frequency no longer depends on what's outside of you. That's when you become magnetic. You see, most people live their lives like emotional antennas, constantly scanning for validation, love, signs, proof that they matter. Every relationship becomes a transaction. Every conversation a subconscious test. Do you see me? Do I matter to you? And every rejection becomes a wound. Every silence a punishment. This is not connection. This is survival. Jung believed that this endless pursuit is rooted in the unconscious. You don't just want love, you're trying to resolve an archetypal wound. Maybe you were unseen as a child. Maybe love was conditional. Maybe you felt you had to earn your place in the world. So now, you chase people who confirm your original wound, hoping that this time it will end differently. But it never does. The same pattern repeats. Different faces, same emotional script. You overgive, you lose yourself, you get rejected, you feel abandoned, again and again. Here's the truth. You can't heal a frequency by staying in it, and you can't attract what you want if you're still wired to need it. Because needing is not the same as attracting. Needing pushes things away. Resonance brings them close. So what is vibrational detachment really? It's when you shift from chasing to embodying. It's when you stop saying, "I'll feel whole when I get love," and start living as if wholeness is your default state. It's when you stop proving yourself and start being yourself. This creates a frequency that speaks louder than words. People feel it. They don't know why, but they trust you. They sense your calm, your clarity, your non-reactivity. And that makes you powerful, not over others, but within yourself. You become rooted. But here's the paradox. To get to this place, you must first face what you've been running from. You can't skip steps. You can't bypass your pain with positivity. Jung warned against that. He called it the danger of the one-sided life. If you try to live only in light, your shadow will eventually erupt, because it wants to be integrated, not denied. Vibrational detachment starts with radical self-honesty. Ask yourself, who am I without this need to be needed? What happens if no one texts me back? What happens if I'm not liked, not validated, not seen? Can I still be enough? These questions aren't just mental exercises, they're energetic thresholds. When you stop reacting to the triggers, when you stop reaching for a lifeline, something begins to alchemize inside you. You realize that you are already the source. And that changes everything. You stop texting people who never reply. You stop waiting for them to choose you. You stop explaining your worth to those committed to misunderstanding it. You stop proving, performing, chasing. And in that space, you meet yourself. Now here's the part that's hard for many to accept. The moment you detach, many things will fall away. People will leave. Situations will dissolve. You'll feel the sting of loss. But it's not punishment. It's purification. It's the resonance you've been projecting your whole life, finally releasing what doesn't match the new you. Jung said, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life." What he meant is this: you will attract mirrors, not people. Energetic mirrors that show you where you are still fragmented, still seeking, still bleeding, until you stop blaming the mirror and start changing the reflection. So how do you practice vibrational detachment without becoming numb or closed off? You create space without building walls. You open your heart without losing your boundaries. You feel deeply without making every feeling a crisis. You become the observer of your emotions, not the prisoner of them. You engage in relationships, but you don't collapse your identity into them. You want connection, but you don't beg for it. You are open to love, but you are not desperate for it. You are honest about your needs, but not enslaved by them. This is emotional sovereignty. It's the energy of someone who says, I am whole, with or without your approval. I am enough, even if you leave. I want love, but I don't need to lose myself to get it. Now imagine a world where people operated from this place. No manipulation, no trauma bonding, no power games, just frequency, just truth, just resonance. That's not a fantasy. That's the direction we are meant to evolve. And yes, it takes work. Deep, inner, uncomfortable work. But it's worth it. Because the more you stop chasing, the more you become a signal. And that signal draws in only what matches your healed state. No more trauma repetitions, no more emotional roller coasters, just peace. This is not spiritual bypassing. It's spiritual maturity. You are not detached because you don't feel. You are detached because you finally learned what's yours and what's not. And most of what you were carrying was never yours to begin with. Let that sink in. But don't be fooled. Just because you've detached energetically doesn't mean the world will immediately applaud you. In fact, it might resist. The people who are drawn to your old frequency, your people-pleasing, your guilt, your emotional availability without boundaries, they might not know how to respond to this new version of you. They might say you've changed, that you're cold, that you're distant. But that's not the truth. You're just no longer available for unconscious contracts. You're no longer the emotional caretaker for everyone's unresolved trauma. You've exited the role of the fixer, the savior, the one who always bends, breaks, and shrinks in order to keep the peace. This is what Jung would call stepping out of the persona, the social mask you've worn for survival, and beginning to live from the self. The self does not negotiate its worth. It does not seek to please. It simply radiates. You'll notice this shift in small, quiet ways at first. You'll say no without guilt. You'll stop justifying your silence. You'll leave rooms where you're not respected. You'll trust your inner knowing over external opinions. These are the markers of vibrational detachment. And here's the magic. As you do this, your life begins to reorganize itself. What once felt like chaos begins to flow. People enter your life who don't need to be explained to. Conversations deepen, time slows down. You stop proving and you start living. You stop surviving and you start resonating. There's a quiet power that comes from no longer needing to control the outcome. When you trust the resonance of your energy, you don't need guarantees. You don't obsess over timing. You don't cling. You allow. Not passively, but purposefully. You've probably heard the phrase, what you chase runs from you. That's not just a poetic metaphor. It's a law of vibration. The more you attach your identity to a need, the more you signal its absence. And the universe responds to frequency, not intention. Not words, not affirmations. Frequency. If your inner dialogue is still, I need this person to choose me so I can feel worthy, then no matter how many mantras you chant, your energy will still be one of lack. But if your energy says, I am already whole, and anything that comes into my life is a bonus, not a necessity, then your field becomes magnetic. Now, this isn't about pretending, it's about transforming. Faking detachment is just repression. True detachment is inner alchemy. You don't get there by numbing your emotions. You get there by meeting them. All of them. The fear, the longing, the grief. You meet the younger parts of yourself that felt abandoned, overlooked, forgotten. You hold them. You don't shame them. You integrate them. This is the essence of Jungian shadow work. The shadow isn't evil. It's simply the part of you that had to hide in order to be loved. When you reclaim it, your energy becomes undivided. And when your energy is undivided, it becomes undeniable. That's when the world starts responding differently, not because it's changed, but because you have. This is why the law of resonance is so powerful. It doesn't require external effort. It demands internal coherence. You don't need to hustle for alignment. You become it. Let's make this real. Imagine two people walk into a room. One is deeply insecure, but masks it with charm. They compliment everyone, laugh a little too loud, try to be liked. Their energy is scattered, needy, hungry for attention. The second person walks in with presence. They're calm, grounded, not trying to impress. They speak when it adds value. They don't chase the room turns toward them. Which one are you? The first one is operating from the persona. The second is living from the self. And that shift has nothing to do with appearance or status. It's all energy. And energy never lies. This is why vibrational detachment isn't about arrogance. It's about authenticity. It's not a tactic. It's a transformation. Now let's talk relationships, because this is where the law of resonance becomes most obvious. You might have noticed, the more you need someone, the more distant they become. And the less you need them, the more interested they suddenly seem. Why? Because relationships are energy exchanges. When you overinvest, you create imbalance. The other person feels your emotional hunger, even if you don't say a word, and unconsciously they pull away. Not because they're cruel, but because the frequency feels heavy. It demands. It clings. But when you return to yourself, when you pull back your projections and own your needs without expecting someone else to fix them, your field stabilizes. And suddenly, the energy becomes attractive again. Not manipulative, not strategic, just balanced. This doesn't mean you play games. It means you stop playing roles. You stop becoming what they want and start becoming who you are. And the people who are meant for you, they won't be repelled by your authenticity. They'll be drawn to it. This is how resonance works. It cuts through illusion. It finds what's real. So if you want to attract different relationships, stop focusing on the other. Start with you. Heal the version of you that believed love had to be earned. Heal the version of you that thought silence meant abandonment. Heal the version of you that tolerated crumbs because you thought it was better than being alone. Because you were never meant to beg for what's meant to find you. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Vibrational detachment is the process of making the unconscious conscious. It's choosing not to act from your wounds, but from your wisdom. It's learning to sit in the silence without making it mean rejection. It's learning to say, "I am enough," even when the world is silent. It's choosing yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. Because when your energy no longer chases, it becomes still. And in that stillness, you become magnetic. And when you become magnetic, you no longer wonder where love is. You are love, and love finds you. There comes a moment on this journey when you stop asking, "Why aren't they choosing me?" and start asking, "Why was I choosing them?" That moment is sacred. That's the turning point. Because let's be honest, most of the time we don't resonate with people from our wholeness. We resonate from our wounds, from our history, from our unmet needs. That's why some of our deepest connections feel the most painful. They're not soulmates, they're mirrors. They come to show us what we still carry, what we still seek, what we haven't yet healed. When Jung spoke about projections, he didn't mean it as a psychological trick. He meant that what we call destiny is often just unconscious attraction. You don't meet people randomly, you meet them through your frequency. If you're vibrating in self-abandonment, you'll attract partners who abandon you. If you're vibrating in proving your worth, you'll attract situations where you're always on trial. If you believe love must be earned, you'll find people who withhold it. This is not your fault. This is your frequency trying to become conscious. And here's the good news. The moment you stop chasing, stop fixing, stop rescuing, something inside of you shifts. You create space. And in that space, healing begins. You start hearing your own voice again, not the voice of fear or society or your past, but the quiet hum of your soul. You realize, maybe I was never broken. Maybe I was just repeating patterns that didn't belong to me. And as you become more attuned to that voice, your energy becomes clearer, cleaner, simpler. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging for closure. You stop proving. You simply are. This is vibrational clarity. And with clarity comes alignment. Now your relationships begin to feel different. You no longer fall for intensity. You look for consistency. You're not seduced by potential. You're drawn to presence. You're not chasing validation. You're resting in self-respect. This is what it means to live from the self. Not the ego, not the persona, not the wounded inner child, but the center of your being. The place Jung believed connected us not only to our individuality, but to the collective unconscious, the deep river of shared wisdom and symbolic truth. When you operate from this space, you stop reacting and start responding. You don't get triggered as easily, not because you're numb, but because you're whole. You stop seeking power over others and start seeking power within. You no longer measure your worth through attention, performance, or productivity. You realize, I don't need to be liked to be valuable. I don't need to be visible to be real. I don't need to be perfect to be enough. This is the heart of vibrational detachment. Now let's be practical. What does this actually look like in your daily life? It means you don't text someone just because you're anxious. You sit with the feeling. You ask it what it wants you to know. You trace it back to the origin. You heal it rather than project it. It means you don't accept the job offer just because it pays more. You check in. Does it align with your purpose? Will it nourish your nervous system? Will it stretch your spirit? It means you don't say yes just to be liked. You honor your no. You trust that rejection of what's not meant for you is protection of what is. This kind of presence requires practice. You won't be perfect. You'll slip. You'll react. You'll chase again. That's okay. The point isn't to never fall. The point is to return, to realign, to come back to your center faster each time. Jung spoke often about individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you truly are. Not who your parents expected, not who society rewards, not who your trauma created, but who your soul came here to be. An individuation requires friction. You'll lose people, you'll disappoint others, you'll face solitude. But solitude isn't loneliness. It's where you remember who you are when no one else is watching. It's where you strengthen the resonance of your own energy. And when you do this long enough, something wild happens. You start to notice beauty again, in the small things. The sound of rain on a quiet morning, the way light falls across your room, the way your breath softens when you let go. You're no longer distracted by who's texting you back. You're present with your life. This is vibrational abundance. Not in the material sense, though that may come too, but in the spiritual sense, where nothing is missing, because you're no longer looking outside of yourself for what's already within you. And now you become a different kind of human. You speak less, but when you do, your words land. You move slower, but with precision. You attract opportunities, not because you chase them, but because your energy whispers, I'm ready. People feel it, even if they can't name it. They respect your boundaries without you having to scream. They sense your worth without you having to sell it. This is what it means to embody resonance. And when your energy leads, your life follows. You stop trying to manifest from your mind. You start manifesting from your nervous system. You don't just visualize a future, you regulate for it. You embody the version of you who already has it. You breathe like them, walk like them, choose like them. Not as performance, but as preparation. This is where vibrational detachment meets embodied intention. You're not passive, you're receptive. You're not forcing, you're flowing. And from this space, miracles happen. Not the fireworks kind, the quiet kind. The kind where you realize, I no longer live in reaction to the world. The world now orients around my presence, because when your energy no longer chases, it creates a vacuum, a powerful, magnetic vacuum that draws in only what resonates with your truth. Not your old story, not your fears, your truth. And that truth will guide you not just to people or things, but to a way of being that feels like home. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's aligned. And that changes everything. Let's go deeper. Because vibrational detachment isn't something you simply decide to do. You don't wake up one morning and say, today I will stop caring. That's not detachment. That's suppression. True vibrational detachment is not about cutting emotions. It's about integrating them. It's not about distancing yourself from life. It's about coming so fully into alignment with life that anything out of alignment simply falls away. And here's the paradox. The more fully you feel, the less attached you become. Why? Because when you let emotions move through you, they no longer control you. You're not avoiding pain, you're digesting it. You're metabolizing old trauma into new strength. You're no longer reacting from the nervous system of your past self. You're responding from the grounded truth of who you are now. Carl Jung once said, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But here's the part many people miss. Your body is the unconscious. Your posture, your breath, your heartbeat. These are not just physical, they're vibrational. They carry the story of your life. If you were raised in chaos, you may find safety in anxiety. If you were taught to earn love, stillness might feel threatening. That's not your fault. That's just your nervous system trying to survive. But survival is not the same as peace. So what does healing look like? It looks like noticing your triggers, and instead of acting on them, you pause. You breathe. You trace the origin. You say to yourself, this is not now, this is then. It looks like being present in your body, especially when it's uncomfortable. You don't run. You stay. You listen. You tend. You become the parent your inner child never had. It looks like reclaiming your energy from people and places you once gave it to out of desperation. You no longer need to be chosen because you've chosen yourself. And the more you return to yourself, the more your frequency stabilizes. And the more your frequency stabilizes, the more the outer world starts to shift. You'll notice it in subtle ways. You'll get fewer calls from people who drain you. You'll feel less desire to explain your worth. You'll find yourself in spaces that feel safe without effort. Not because you forced anything, but because your energy said, I'm no longer available for what dishonors my nervous system. This is vibrational hygiene, and it's sacred. Now let's talk about how to maintain this space, not just during meditations or retreats, but in the chaos of everyday life. Start by anchoring in the body. Your mind can lie, your stories can spin, but your body tells the truth. So check in. How do you feel after spending time with someone? Lighter or heavier? How does your breath respond to that opportunity? Does it expand or contract? Does this choice feel like a self-betrayal dressed as a compromise? These are not small questions. These are vibrational checkpoints, and each time you honor them, you rewire your reality. Because what you tolerate teaches the universe what to send you more of. If you tolerate crumbs, crumbs become your currency. If you tolerate chaos, chaos becomes your home. But when you shift, even slightly, you begin to receive differently. You say no and watch your energy return to you. You walk away and feel yourself become magnetic. You stay quiet and realize your silence is powerful. This is not arrogance, this is resonance. And the truth is, people can feel it. They may not know what changed, but they know something did. You feel calmer, clearer, less available for drama, more committed to peace. You're not trying to fix anyone. You're not chasing potential. You're simply rooted in truth. And here's what's beautiful. Your energy begins to filter life for you. You don't need to argue. You don't need to convince. You don't need to force anything. Your resonance repels what's false and attracts what's aligned. And what's more, your peace becomes your protection. Not because you've built walls, but because you've stopped leaking energy. You're no longer trying to be understood by everyone. You're not auditioning for love. You're not compromising your integrity to be included. You're walking as a whole, integrated self. Carl Jung believed that wholeness was more important than perfection. That the goal of life was not to become good, but to become real. To own your shadow. To embrace your contradictions. To become conscious of your unconscious drives. Because only then can you choose differently, and choosing differently changes your vibration. When you stop people-pleasing, your energy becomes sovereign. When you stop abandoning yourself, your decisions become sacred. When you stop apologizing for your boundaries, your life becomes a sanctuary. And this new way of being, it teaches others too. Without words, without confrontation, you simply live it. And those who are ready will rise to meet you. Those who are not will fade, and both are grace. Because vibrational detachment is not just a tool, it's a way of life. It's how you stop performing and start existing. It's how you stop rushing and start receiving. It's how you stop striving and start aligning. Now imagine living like this. Imagine waking up and not needing your phone to feel worthy. Imagine going to work and not carrying the weight of proving. Imagine loving people freely, not because you need them, but because you choose them. This is not a fantasy. This is what happens when you regulate your nervous system, reclaim your energy, and root yourself in the truth of who you are. And it's not instant. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes compassion. You'll still have days where you slip into old patterns, But even then, you'll notice faster, you'll recover quicker, you'll forgive deeper, and slowly your baseline shifts. What used to activate you now teaches you. What used to break you now builds you. What used to confuse you now clarifies you. This is the slow, sacred path of vibrational detachment, and the reward? You become unshakable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger, more rooted, more awake, more whole. And when you are whole, you stop searching for completion. You stop chasing your own tail. You realize, I already am what I was looking for. I already carry what I was craving. And from that place of internal abundance, everything starts to find you. Not because you beg, not because you force, but because you finally become a match for what you desire. And desire, when rooted in presence, becomes destiny. So now we return to the beginning. When your energy no longer chases anything, everything starts to chase you. This is not a mystical quote. It's a lived truth, one that emerges not from theory, but from transformation. Because you've stopped playing the game. You're no longer on the treadmill of when I get this, I'll be enough. You've stepped off, you've looked around, and for the first time, you've seen what was always here. Stillness, power, choice. It's always been here, waiting for you to stop running. See, most people live in loops. Emotional echoes of childhood, unconscious contracts with unhealed wounds. They think they're chasing success, but really they're chasing safety, validation, permission. And they wonder why nothing satisfies. Because until you heal the need beneath the desire, even the dream will feel hollow. But when you break the loop, when you meet your own needs, when you stop outsourcing your self-worth, the dream comes to you, quietly, naturally, not as a reward, but as a reflection. You stopped needing it, so now it wants you. You stopped forcing, so now it flows. This is the truth behind vibrational detachment. It's not that you stop caring, it's that your caring is no longer desperate. It's no longer rooted in lack, it's rooted in love. Real love. Not the love that asks, do you see me? But the love that says, I see myself. And from that space, you begin to relate differently to people, to time, to money, to purpose. You stop begging, you start creating, you stop waiting, you start embodying, you stop collapsing, you start rising. And this rise, this energetic rising, it doesn't look loud. It's not about posting your breakthroughs or proving your peace. It's subtle, you just glow different. You walk slower, breathe deeper, speak less, listen more. Because you no longer need to fill the space, you are the space. Your presence becomes medicine. Not because you're trying to heal anyone, but because your wholeness reminds others of their own. This is the resonance we're talking about. This is the unseen frequency that changes everything. People feel it. They don't know why they're drawn to you, why they trust you, open to you, follow you. But they do. Because you're not performing anymore. You're not negotiating your truth. You're not available for anything that costs your peace. You're simply here, fully, freely. And in a world built on noise and needing that kind of presence is revolutionary. So here's the invitation. You don't have to wait. You don't have to become perfect. You don't need a bigger platform, a better job, a healed family. You can begin right now, right here, by coming back to your body, by noticing your breath, by asking yourself, what am I chasing and why? And then by gently letting go, not with bitterness, not with shame, but with softness, with trust, with reverence for the version of you that no longer needs to hustle for their worth, because that version was doing their best. But now, you know. You know your power isn't in your effort, it's in your essence. You know your worth isn't something to earn, it's something to remember. And you know that nothing aligned will ever require you to abandon yourself. So when your energy no longer chases, when it no longer leaks, when it no longer pleads, it becomes pure. And pure energy is magnetic. It draws the right people, the right timing, the right path, not all at once, but exactly when it's meant to. Until one day you look around and realize you didn't force your way here. You aligned your way here. You didn't beg for the door to open. You became the kind of person the door opens for. And from here, life becomes a conversation, not a fight. You listen, you respond, you co-create. You know when to move and when to wait. You know that space is sacred, that no is a prayer, that rest is productive. And in that space you find freedom. Not the freedom to escape, but the freedom to fully arrive. To be where you are, to love what is, to honor what's leaving, to welcome what's coming. This is the quiet revolution. The inner shift that rewrites everything. The journey from control to communion, from fear to frequency, from lack to resonance. So as we close this space, let this land. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply shedding what you were never meant to carry. And the more you let go, the more you return. To yourself, to your rhythm, to your soul's truth. And from that place, everything aligned will find you. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. So take a deep breath. Feel your body. Feel your presence. Feel your enoughness. And remember, you are the magnet. You are the message. You are the miracle. And if this spoke to you, if you felt something open inside, then this space is for you. Because this isn't just a video, this is a mirror of who you are becoming, of what you've always been. So subscribe if you haven't already. Join this space if you feel the resonance, because we are just getting started. And the best part, you're not chasing anymore. You're receiving. Welcome home.